Sekhmet, the dark goddess, the triggers and the shadow. So when we're speaking about Sekhmet as the dark goddess, that means she calls us out to look at aspects of ourselves that we are hiding and that we're trying to avoid and not look at. These are our shadow aspects. So Sekhmet as the dark goddess, she calls us out to own our own crap, to actually look at the things within us that are dark and that we're trying to avoid and that we're not looking at. Now when we speak of a trigger is an event that causes us to act in a certain way. At the root, Sekhmet asks us to slay our fear. And to do this, you have to stare fear in the face. You have to know the fears that are subconsciously running your life, causing you to automatically react. Looking at what triggers you and finding out why it triggers you. This requires going deeper. So you might identify that when a person does or says a certain thing, you react in a negative way. You might get angry, rage, shout, resort to or fantasize about getting violent. You might verbalise this or physically react, or you might just hold this inside. This is a shadow aspect, a program that is running in the background. It can be a program running in the back of your mind or a program running in the background of your life. It's a fight or flight response that plays out in real time, that activates when you are triggered. It triggers a me against them or an us against them response, and it separates you from others and causes barriers to go up. It shuts down communication and closes your ears and takes over your reasoning. In the moment, you're unlikely to be able to look within and to find out what is causing your reaction. This is because when you're in a heightened state of fight or flight, your rational part of your brain actually shuts down. Your executive functioning is temporarily deactivated. But after the event, you can explore what is really going on. At the time of feeling afraid or fearful or angry, you can try to manage your aggression and fear and take a higher perspective, or see the situation from a different viewpoint, or choose to actively disengage from the trigger and to not respond, or to mentally take time out. But that trigger is still there waiting to be activated the next time you're in a similar situation. But after the event you can go inward. Often we or others may only take the viewpoint that the other person is wrong. They caused a reaction. They did something that caused us to react. But ask yourself, really, did they really? If someone can cause a response in us, then who is holding the sovereign power in that time? We cannot control the way others act and think towards or about us, but we can control our response to the other person. When we control our response, we retain our sovereign power, and it takes work to retain our sovereign power, and to still maintain healthy boundaries in alignment with our true self, yet to still respond in a way that is authoritative and respectful. To explore the subconscious takes a deep dive, because the subconscious in its nature is hidden. It is indirect. So when faced with a trigger, we can dive into why. We can ask, why do we feel the way we do in a particular situation? We can ask, what part of us are we disassociating from, and why are we disassociating from that part of ourselves? We can also ask, what is it about the situation that is causing the response? Where did this come from? And is this our own beliefs and thoughts really, or have we taken on this belief and these thoughts from others? We can then ask, who have we taken these thoughts and beliefs on from? Have we taken these beliefs and thoughts on from parents, from siblings, family members, society, ancestors, our generation, or even our religion? And we can ask, how is our belief or trigger impacting our lives? And what would life be like if we did not respond to or have this trigger? What would be the larger impact for us without this trigger, and how would it impact our health, mentally, spiritually, emotionally and physically? We can also ask, what is the current cost of this trigger? And what do we need to do to overcome this trigger? If we don't know what we could try, then we can think about what we haven't tried already. And we can think about, what have we done that has worked in the past? So we can ask ourselves, what have we done that has worked in the past? Once we've figured that out, we can think, are we actually ready to release this benefit to bring about a transformation? Because the trigger will be having some sort of a benefit within our lives. So in order to overcome the trigger, we have to figure out what will be the benefit of overcoming the trigger. Even if overcoming the trigger benefits us in a subtle way, it is still worth overcoming things that trigger us. We can think, what energy can override this trigger? And what healing tools can assist with releasing this trigger? The response to a trigger is there for a reason. It's wanting to protect you from something. It's the animal instinct within. And a good tool to use to start to break down our response to a trigger is to ask the following questions. What's the worst that could happen? And what would I do if the worst did happen? And what plan can I formulate against the worst case scenario? And also, if I'm perceived in a negative or derogative way, how does this truly affect me? Does it really matter? And what can I learn from this? And how can I use this event, this situation, to make me a better person? And also, what is the ultimate truth that overrides this trigger? The answers may need to be explored over more than just an hour per se, and with a client it may take weeks or months, but if they are willing to do the work, we can work towards overcoming triggers that are having a negative impact on our lives. When we explore these concepts for ourselves, when we find ourselves being triggered, we can then use the process. Once we've worked through the process to overcome our own triggers, we can then use the process to assist others to work through their own triggers. And that completes this lecture. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture.